Tamagogenesis Part 4. What is tamagogenesis? Is it something similar to a birthday? Tamagogenesis refers to the establishment of your unique cell line. In other words, did you ever wonder when your first cell was created? See Part 1 to get a handle on this concept if you're lost. It will explain how the science works. There are 4 broad categories a couple can fall into, depending on which partner is older. In this case, when a man is both older by birth and by cellular establishment, it is a futsu type of relationship. Then there is the fun, temporarily twisted category when a woman is older by cell line, yet younger by birth. The rarest category is the toku twist, when a woman is older by birth, yet his cellular line is older. And finally, the key category of this video is the tokubetsu class, when a woman has the older cell line and older birth date. This is the category where females have the leading role, and men take a backseat to their wives. The main focus of this video will shine a light on US presidents who fall into the tokubetsu category, whereby the First Lady is older by age and older by cell line. There are 3 former US presidents who fall into the tokubetsu category. Any guesses who they might be? Sadly, all 3 had relatively lackluster runs as presidents. Let's start with the least familiar, I would assume, tokubetsu president, Warren G. Harding. Harding was the president about 100 years ago. Harding's wife, Florence, was 5 years older. Florence was born at the beginning of the U.S. Civil War in 1860, while Warren was born at the end of the Civil War in 1865. But when it comes to the establishment of cell lines, Florence's cell line was established first in 1835, and then 8 years later, President Warren Harding came into existence in 1843. Now the less than less famous, but yet somewhat familiar face to someone who is currently famous, Alec Baldwin, is President Fillmore. The First Lady, Abigail Fillmore, has the distinguished duty of being the First Lady to be older than the President. Abby was born in 1798 and was 2 years older than Millard, while Millard was born in the year 1800, making him a centurion, meaning that his age matches to the century, just like all the people who turned 26 this year, since they were born in the year 2000. However, when it comes to the establishment of cellular lines, Abby's was established long before Warren was a twinkle in his father's eyes, or rather, a twinkle in his grandmother's tummy. Abigail was established a whopping 24 years before President Fillmore. President Millard's cell line was established during the American Revolution in 1781, while Abby's was established in 1757 under the rule of King George II. Now for everyone's favorite, or most familiar thanks to the television show Futurama, presenting President Richard Milhouse Nixon, who is the most recent tokubetsu president in living memory. For anyone from Generation X and before, or any fans of Futurama will recognize. Nixon's wife was, everybody, Pat Nixon. She was just 1 year older than Mr. Nixon. Pat was born in 1912, while Dick was born in 1913. Likewise, Pat's unique biological cell line was formed in 1879, and Tricky Dick's cellular line formed 5 years later in 1884, 1 year before Doc and Marty were sent back to the Wild West in 1885. By utter sheer coincidence, all 3 of the female-led tokubetsu presidents had a rather untimely or lackluster run as president. Harding died in office. Fillmore did much ado about nothing, since Fillmore was a one-term fill-in president after Zachary Taylor died in office. And finally, Nixon. Nixon resigned in office due to a scandal at the Watergate Hotel, which would be, in today's political climate, a nothing burger. Hey, look who is here. It's Joe Biden. What is he doing here? Huh. Oh, yeah. He also fits into the category as well when you consider his first wife, Nelia Hunter Biden. Biden's first wife, Nelia, was born in 1942 along with Joe, but Nelia was born 4 months before Joe. Likewise, Nelia's cellular line was established 2 years before Biden. Sadly, Nelia died in a car crash in 1972, long before Joe was on the presidential pathway. Sadly, like all the other Tokubetsu presidents before him, Joe was denied a second presidential term, not by the public, but rather by his home political party, after a lackluster debate rematch with Donnie T. Lastly, we have 3 more presidents who do a temporal twist with their spouses such that they are older by birth, yet younger by cell line. Do you recognize any of these presidents? One is a relatively recent president, and the other 2 are fairly famous in historical circles. First, we have U.S. President Grant. Grant was 4 years older than his wife, Julia Boggs Dent. Grant was born in 1822, and Julia was born in 1826. However, Julia's cell line was established 5 years earlier. Her cell line was established in 1793, and Grant's was established in 1798. Later, an ancestor of Julia would become the source code for Harvey Dent, better known as Two-Faced, the great rival and villain to Batman, which partly explains why you can only find a profile pic of Julia Dent Boggs Grant. Next up is everyone's favorite president named after a car, Ford. Everyone should know his first wife's name, Betty Ford. President Ford was born in 1913, 5 years before Betty Ford, who was born in 1918. But Betty Ford's cellular existence started first, exactly 7 years senior, in the year 1884, while Gerald Ford's cell line was established in 1891. Last of all, we have President H.W. Bush, the senior Bush, the older Bush, the classic Bush. By traditional reckoning, George H.W. Bush is 1 year older than his wife, Barbara Bush. He was born in 1924 and she was born in 25. But from the perspective of cellular lines, Barbara Bush's cell line was established first in the year 1896, while Hubert Walker Bush's line was created in 1901. A difference of centuries. Coincidentally, both the Bushes, senior and junior, are temporally twisted. Oh my god, who is that? Oh, it's Kamala. Welcome. What in the world are you doing here? You were never president. Okay. All right. All right, we have another second bonus here, everyone. Furthermore, since she is still in the current limelight of recent memory, we can talk about her. If you forgot, she was the first female vice president, in addition to being the first female temporally twisted VP. Both Kamala and her husband Doug Emhoff were born in the year 1964, in the same month of October, but Doug was born 1 week before Kamala. But upon the inspection of cellular lines, Kamala's was established first. Kamala's line began in 1938, and the first second man cell line was established in 1940. Further, Kamala's story has some extra cool facts to consider. Her mother, Shamila Gopalan Harris, was born in India in the year 1938, specifically on December 7th in the province of Madras. Although Kamala was born in California in 1964, her first cell formed within her maternal grandmother, Rajam Gopalan. Thus, the first cell of Kamala formed within the womb of Shyamala, who was within the womb of Rajam. You can see the first cell of Kamala drawn here as an anthropomorphic oocyte, which was established in the year 1938 in the British Empire in India of the province Madras. And note, the flag of India today is very different. The modern flag is basically an Irish flag at 90 degrees, or rather, the Irish flag is the India flag at 270 degrees. It depends on how you spin it. The funny thing is that Kamala Harris's cellular line is older than the flag of India and national state of India. Here is one more frame or perspective to consider. The 2024 US presidential election was a groundbreaking election. It was, in fact, an international competition of cellular lines, specifically between India and Scotland. Trump's cellular line was established in Scotland, while Kamala's was created in India. And when their first cell formed, both Scotland and India were a part of the British Empire. Thus, my friends, from a certain perspective, the 2024 US presidential election, when considering Tamago Genesis, was a competition between India and Scotland. Think about that, friends. Hopefully, you now have a keen grasp on the concept of Tamago Genesis. You can apply it to everyone, your parents, your cousins, your spouses, boyfriends, girlfriends, partners, whatever. Even historical figures like we just did here. But here's a big step. Let us apply it to the one and only Jesus of Nazareth.